personalities, whatever the case may be, that was his reflection. And you have to respect that.
He was a program director.
He was a program director.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a program director and operations manager. So basically, he was running the programming side of the station. And still to this day, I talk to him. I respect Sam a whole lot. You know, he taught me a lot. You know, that I put it like this. He taught me a lot that I didn't know, what I needed to know. Sam taught me some of those things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
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 So we're live on Gender Club TV, just letting everybody know that. If you haven't, please subscribe and come on out and check us out. Live on Gender Club TV on YouTube. Please subscribe. Check us out. This is the home of the Evening Social Podcast. We're here with the legendary, the GOAT, Tony G. All right. We're also here talking about starting with Carter Broadcast. You're getting in there. Tell me, what's one of the first jobs you had with when you get to KPRS? What is one of the first jobs?
Well, actually, when I got to KPRS, I actually went on the air. I was doing overnights. I was working at night because, again, like I was saying, Mr. Carter wanted to take the station back live. That meant had to have able bodies, live bodies on the air where people could hear round the clock. Oh, there's somebody on. Maybe I can call them on the radio. Maybe I can call the request line. So I was doing part-time at the time. I was doing Quiet Storm, as a matter of fact. And back then, you could bring your own music. I bring my own music in, and man, I was letting them have it.
So you had already dropped the Tantalizer?
Yeah, I'd already dropped the Tantalizer.
Okay.
When I got there, I dropped the Tantalizer. I was like, I'm just going to go by Tony G.
Tony G.
Because a lot of people don't know, Tony is short for my real name, which is Anthony, and the G is my middle initial.
It's the middle initial.
My middle initial. So that I just went with Tony G, and it
Okay.
stuck.
Okay.
Yeah, it stuck.
Okay. So you're Quiet Storm. How long were you on the Quiet Storm? If you don't know, what I'm doing is, you had the hands and over the years and a whole lot of things. So we just going to kind of talk about some of these.
Well, the thing about it is, what you have to think about is, I was doing Quiet Storm. I was working part-time.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing Quiet Storm. I was filling in wherever they wanted me to fill in at. And this one particular day, Mike Carter called me and said, "What you doing?" I was like, kind of hanging out watching TV. He's like, "I need you to be here at 2:30. You're going on air at 3. Okay. I'm there at 2:30. And I'm getting ready to go into the studio. And the person that's supposed to be going on the air is going into the studio also at the same time. It wasn't told to the young lady until she saw me that I was getting ready to replace her. So it was like, that's when they gave her the pink slip. And after I did that show, that's when they hired me full time. So I was hired full time, and I was doing afternoons at that particular time. And it wasn't until a friend of mine who used to work after me, his name is Magic. He used to be on the air at Quiet Storm, also called Magic Man. But the thing about it is when I started working part-time, I used to come in after him. And he would start the Quiet Storm, I'd finish it. But then when I went on to the afternoons, I used to come on before him. And he had pretty good ratings at nighttime. But Magic ended up leaving and going to Atlanta to be on the radio. So they needed somebody to hold down that evening slot to keep the ratings, sustain the ratings. And thank God, that was one of the best moves I could have made, because when I moved to nighttime, my career really catapulted, and it really took off. And at that particular time, I had rating numbers that had never been seen at nighttime before, to the point where I was the #1 jockey in the city for several years at night. And so I moved around at the radio station. I moved around different times. After I was there for a while, I ended up going to middays, and I went back to afternoons, and I ended up, before I left, I ended up doing mornings.
Okay.
So I've worked every shift there at the radio station.
Okay. So let's talk about this. I gotta get this out. This gotta come out.
Okay.
How did you come up with the Hot 80 Day? Like, how did you come up with that? Because like we said before, it's still going. 25 plus years,
Yeah.
it's still going. So where did that come from, that idea?
Well, what happened is that you had a lot of songs that were hot songs, hit songs. And so in radio, you have to figure out how to get the best mileage out of a song. And a lot of times you might say, dang, they play that song all the time. Well, it has a lot to do with what expectations are from the record companies, what expectations are from the artist, because that's what makes the artist hearing their song on the radio all the time. So you want to maximize as many times or as much as you can to try to maximize a song. So my idea was that would be just another avenue to maximize those hot songs. So we came up with the plan that why not put a segment at 8 o'clock, take all those songs that you play throughout the day, and record companies and labels and artists are expected to hear their song maybe 4 times a day. Well, we do it 3 times, and then we know for a fact at 8 o'clock that song is going to be there for sure. And that's how we came up with the Hot 80. We took the hottest songs, requested songs of the day, and put it in that particular time slot. And still to this day, it's the hottest songs of the day that's requested.
Gotcha.
So that's how we ended up coming with that. And I might add that prior to that, see, in radio, you always have, and this is something that Sam Weaver taught me. In radio, you always have, you have to have benchmarks, or you have to have something that the audience, you can steer the audience to. Coming up at 8 o'clock, it's the Hot 80 Day. Oh, well, you know for your fact, oh, that's why I'll be able to hear it. If I missed it all through the day, going to school, going to work, I can hear my favorite song at 8 o'clock. Well, that's what he was teaching me. At 7 o'clock, I came up with a thing called Pump It or Dump It. Again, a benchmark at 7 o'clock just to keep people tuned in to hear the local music. Local artists, they weren't getting their fair share of hearing their music on the radio. So Pump It or Dump It. You like it, we'll put it in rotation. You don't like it, it may not get in rotation as quickly as possible. It may take some time for people to start liking it. So I came up with that. I did that, and then I did something at 9 o'clock. I did something at 10 o'clock. So I was always coming up with different ideas to enhance my show.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how a lot of that came about.
Okay. So, talk about, I'm gonna come to this because we said we're gonna go back. Let's talk about, and I want to bring it back because you talked about why you came up with and started the toy and food drive.
Sure.
And a lot of times people miss out that the 2 major not-for-profits that you partnered with for that, which is Harvesters and then the U.S. Marine Toys for Tots.
Mhm.
So talk about how that came about.
Mhm.
I know you said why, but talk about how that came.
How the partnership came about with me, the radio station, and Harvesters, and also Toys for Tots, is that when I came up with an idea of doing this particular drive, Mr. Carter wanted every DJ to come up with something that could connect to the community. Because that's what Cape Fear is all about, the community. So everybody had to come up with something that would connect to the community. So I proposed to him about doing a toy and food drive. And he's like, give me the idea. And so I said, what we could do is we would collect the toys. I'd already reached out and talked to the folks over at Harvesters. Would you guys be interested in partnering with me to do this? They said, sure, because they were at a need for food. I reached out to Marie's Toys for Tot, told them my idea. Would you guys be interested in sending Marines out? We collect the toys, the Marines take it to the warehouse after that. They said, why not? So that's how that ended up. We connected to that. But here's what people don't understand about that toy and food drive. Over the years, when it first started, it was not stay awake 48 hours. From the time we started to the time we ended. Going back to when I was telling you about my brother Big D, right here, man. We used to have security out there. I had a world renowned wrestler come in. He was my security. We had sponsors that gave us cots and beds to relax in, recliners. At the end of the toy and food drive, people put their name in. We draw names. You win. You can take the sofa home with you. We only use it just to sit down. You can take the cot home with you, recline or whatever. We gave that stuff away with those sponsors in mind, giving sponsors mentions on the radio. Hey, we're out here reclining in such and such recliner. Matter of fact, if you want the latest furniture, go by and check them out. We're going to be giving this recliner away at the end of the tour and food drive. That kind of stuff. So all that stuff was going at the same time. And that was the caveat, was me staying up all night. Thing about it is, people used to come out there to see if I really was staying up.
Wait, yeah.
Hey, you came out here just to see I'm staying awake. I know that's not all you came to do. Hey, why don't you go in there at Walmart and get you something to come back and, you know, $10 toy, you know, go get that for the kids. It's for the kids, you know. Put here's a jug. We had a jug here. Throw something in there. Now you got the community seeing what's really going on. We just ain't out there talking about it. We're talking about it, but we being about it. You know. And so therefore, that's how that all came about. And the very first year I did it, let me just say this before I say that. I never knew it was going to end up at the magnitude that it ended up. Because the very first year, we did the very first toy and food drive was at Price Chopper on 103rd. We had so much success with that. It's kind of like on Jaws. It's kind of like on Jaws when the guy said, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Carter said, we're going to need a bigger place.
Yeah.
And so I said, I got the right place. He said, where? I said, because we stay up all night, I got the right place. I'm going to go and pitch it to him. We went and pitched it to Hypermart.
Mm-hmm.
Hypermart, now Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it was back in the day, Hypermart.
Right, Hypermart.
And they went for it, and the way we pitched it to them is that, do you realize, with us being out here this long, at Christmas time, what your revenue would look like, people coming in here buying canned goods, toys, and all that stuff. And they was like, yeah, you're right about it. So that's how it all came together and it was incorporated. People don't really know that whole story,
Right.
but this is a platform for me to be able to tell that story.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, and then I just also know, just from later on being able to be involved a little bit, that it was also about service, people being able to service in the community, being able to come out, do some good, you know, volunteer,
Yeah.
to do things. and it's a wonderful thing to show your giving back
Yeah.
to the community, your connection to the community, and then as well as the radio station.
Well, and not only that, but we had people like kids, high schools, grade schools, they would come out and that could be part of their community service.
Mhm.
We'd sign off on it. Community promotions man would sign off on it. We do all that stuff. A lot of people don't know that when I left the station in 2014, I continued on with it. And I took it to another phase because I wanted to, again, keep it going. So I added a twist to it. Here's the thing. For so many years, I always saw Toys for Tots take those toys away. But I never saw the end result. Who got them, where'd they go to? I know there's different organizations that apply for it and register for it, but I want to see the excitement on kids' face, you know. So I decided the twist would be, I'm gonna get a Toys away. The twist would be, let's do what we call a breakfast with Santa. The twist would be, sponsors would absorb the cost of the toys. The twist would be, now my organization benefits from the Toys for Tots organization. You see what I'm saying? So now, not only am I seeing, but I'm receiving the same toys that other people are receiving from Toys for Tots. And so therefore, I put that element to it. And then I said, well, hey, let's make it a festive morning on Christmas Eve. Let's have breakfast, we'll call it Breakfast with Santa. We have Santa come out, take pictures, sign autographs, and then we feed the kids breakfast. And then we give away toys, we give away the bikes, and we give away all this stuff. But you had to register.
Mhm.
So since I started that element of it, we've serviced over 200 kids each year. And I partnered with a good friend of mine, Clay Johnson, who used to play with the Lakers.
Mhm.
He has the Clay Johnson Foundation, so we partnered together to do it. And man, it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic.
Well, great community give back, great community connection.
Yeah.
Great.
And not only do we do that toward the food drive, but we also do a weekend, a celebrity weekend where we do a clinic for kids, basketball clinic for kids.
Okay.
Clay has a lot of his friends come in to help orchestrate the clinic. We may partner with different sponsors where they can come out there, give the kids, take the kids vitals, and do all that kind of stuff. And then we have celebrity party, have celebrity fashion shows. So we do all that, and it goes back to the organizations, and the organization basically is about the kids. You know, that's why we partner, because we're both doing it for the kids.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let me jump over to something else,
Sure.
because I'd be remiss if we don't touch on this.
Okay.
The Chiefs Hour.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that, the fruition of that, and your involvement with that.
Well, again, my background, when I was at that particular radio station, when I came out of school, I learned how to produce a show. I learned how to be a director. I learned how to write news stories. I learned all of that stuff. And so at that particular time, I was real cool with all of the Chiefs players. The way that I got cool with all of these Chiefs players, as they came into the team, as they were drafted, and then the Chiefs would pick them up. The reason I became so cool with them is because of the nightclub that I was running. They used to come into they used to come in the nightclub.
Okay.
You know, Derek Thomas, Neil Smith, and Neil is still one of my best friends right to this day. You know,
And he dropping some of them names on it.
DT.
We still live on YouTube, Jenna Club TV. Make sure you tap in and subscribe.
And DT was a great friend of mine before his accident. The guys that was in the car with him when he had his accident, great friends of mine. And so before his accident happened, I went to Mr. Carter again, always presenting him with my ideas. Went to Mr. Carter and said, hey, I got a great idea. He's like, let me hear it. I said, we should do a Chiefs talk show. He's like, a Chiefs talk show? He's like, we play music. I said, I know. I said, but trust me on this. I said, I'm like that with DT. I'm like that with Neil Smith. We get them to host the show. And we interrupt on Mondays for 1 hour to do this Chiefs show. He's like, just 1 hour? I'm like, yeah. And then we looked at Monday was the best day because it's the day after the football game. They don't have to go to practice on Tuesday. So they could bring other players out to be a part of the show. The show was constructed based on talking just straight football, locker room talk, on the field talk, all of that stuff. And therefore, we could kind of incorporate it the way we wanted it to. That's how the Chiefs Hour kicked off, with my relationship with DT and Neil. And then as time went on, Neil left, went to the Broncos, DT's untimely accident. We brought in other Chiefs players, again, that I had those relationships with. And it just kept going on, kept going on. And then finally, it ran its course. It ran its course. You know, plus we got some, plus at the time, it wasn't any marquee players. What I mean by marquee players, NFL marquee players. They were just Chiefs players. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, because DT, Neil, Donnell Bennett, Marcus Spears, Dana Hughes, these were all big time names that were doing stuff in the NFL. Not just on the Chiefs, but the NFL as well. Right now, Dana Hughes is the voice of the Chiefs radio network. So I had those relationships, and so that's how we ended up coming up with that Chiefs Hour. And then we invite people to come out. We would take the show on the road so people could come out and touch the players, get a sponsor to absorb the cost for us being there. People would come out, and then what we did was, you was asking a name earlier about the coach. What we did was, we start incorporating guests that were regular guests to be a part of the show. Coach was one of them. Daryl Woods, we call him Hitman. He was another but the only thing about Daryl was he's a diehard Denver Bronco fan. So when Neil Smith left and went to Denver, oh, he ate that up. He ate that up. But that's how we ended up having fun with the show. And it was a success. It was a success. And when I say, I mean, anytime Neil Smith and Neil could get Marcus Allen to come to the show, Joe Montana to come to the show, the other quarterback,
Gerbach?
not Gerbach, he went to the Raiders. The quarterback that went to the Raiders, he's an analyst now. He's an analyst now. But yeah, we had all those guys come out. And man, and just it's all about relationships also. All about relationships. Hey, we'll give you a few bucks to come out and host a show. They was just doing it because they wanted something to do, and those few bucks that they were getting, that was they tab for having a drink out with the boys one night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't much. They millionaires.
Right.
They's like, okay, but when I presented to them, when I first presented it to Neil and DT, they was like, cool. I said, I know how y'all are. I'll protect you guys, privacy, all of that. The show will only be right here, tunnel vision, meaning We're not gonna go over here, talk about any of that, disrespect, whatever, girlfriends, we ain't doing none of that. We're gonna stay here, we're gonna talk straight football, and now that's how that came about.
Look around.
Yeah.
And just talk a little bit about the departure from KPRS.
The departure from KPRS, check this down. It was unexpected, but I believe it was also time. Sometimes you can stay too long. Sometimes God has to remove you from something that He knows you should have already made a move or decision prior to that anyway. And sometimes it's just God's will, you know. And here's something that came, I was explaining a story to somebody the other day. Here's something that came all the way full circle that's really, really funny. My oldest daughter, Alexis, at the time was about 5 years old, maybe. That was, she was about, it was in the mid 90s, because she's born in 92. So it was like 94, matter of fact, 94 is the year that I took a negative stance. I took a stance on negative rap, and I made the news by saying I wasn't playing Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice. Now I'm sitting back laughing because I'm like, look at all the stuff they playing now on the radio and the content and everything. What I did back then was nothing compared to now. Just think what would happen if I try to do that now. They'd be like, man, go sit down somewhere. They pray, cancel Tony G. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying that came full circle is that in the mid-90s, well, I want to say it might have been 95, I had an opportunity, and nobody knows this, but I'm telling you on your show, this platform, some people know, because I didn't divulge it to everybody. I had an opportunity to go to LA and New York and Chicago to be on the radio. There were some stations looking at me, wanted me to, but the reason why I did not choose to leave is because Alexis's mother and I were not together at that point, and I didn't want her to be another statistic as far as a black man not being around his kids or his daughter or son. That's why I stayed in Kansas City, because of my oldest daughter and not wanting to be away from her. And the reason why I say it comes back full circle is that now my daughter lives in LA. Now she lives in LA. And ironically, my youngest daughter is trying to move out there. And my wife says the only way we can move at this point is if my youngest daughter lands this contract she's trying to get, or I come up with some money. But that's kind of funny, that whole thing that came full circle. I had to kind of throw that in there, because it really just came full circle, you know.
Okay. So I gotta throw something out there.
Sure.
You know, my wheels is turning.
Sure.
Is there a possibility of a reunion with the station? Something like a 103 and Tony G throwback party?
Well, you never say never. You know, you never say never. You know, when things happen, sometimes you may have some ill feelings, you may have some ill will feelings, you know, but you move on. It's life.
Mm-hmm.
At this particular time, with what I'm doing and everything, you know, as far as a reunion, I don't particularly see anything about a reunion, but I wouldn't be opposed to maybe attending any type of anniversary party or anything like that. You know, I don't think I'd be opposed to that if I got an invite.
Okay. So that leads me to my next couple questions.
Sure.
Is about what are you doing now? Let's talk about what you're doing
Wow.
now.
Well, what I'm doing now is I got a studio at home.
Okay.
I do voiceover work. And for those that don't know what voiceover work is, the voice that you hear on commercials or the voice that you hear on TV saying, coming up at 9 o'clock, it's the Parker family on WB, blah, 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 you know.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know I used to be the voice for WB back in the day. The Frog, when it first came out, the Frog, I was the voice. I did all the character stuff, the character voices and stuff. I did all that. So I do voiceover work. I have an internet radio station, and you can check that out. I know we're on your platform, but you can check it out.
Tell
It's
us.
DJ.
This is your platform too.
It's DJHPBroadcasting.com. We play all old school, 70s, 80s, 90s. You might hear some KC and the Sunshine Band. You might hear some Cameo. You might hear some Michael Jackson. You might hear some Freddie Jackson. You know, it's just a nice blend of music, you know. And as a matter of fact, I do the Quiet Storm on that platform every Wednesday. I do an old school throwback platform on Quiet Storm.
Okay.
I'm doing that and just being a good husband and a good father.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, the voiceover and the TV stuff, that's just second nature. Like I said, I got a studio at home, so all I do, they send me to work, I send it back out.
Okay.
Easy peasy, as they say.
I got you. Tell them again where they can catch your radio station. Tell them.
DJHPBroadcasting.com. That's DJHPBroadcasting.com. It's on the TuneIn app. It's on all of the platforms, social media platforms. You can look for it. You can even Google it. It'll come right up. You might see my face on there.
Okay. All right. Now, I see that you have a foundation.
Yes, I do.
Okay. A little bit before we go, what is
Well,
the foundation?
the foundation is called the Tony G. Gregg Foundation, and basically, I started the foundation once I left the radio station, so therefore I could continue my community involvement.
Okay.
And so that's what we do. Myself and Clay Johnson, we partnered. It's Tony G. Gregg Foundation and Clay Johnson Foundation. We do a lot of events together. And as I was mentioning, you know, we do the clinic, we do the toy drive. We're going to do a fashion show for kids. There's a lot of things we have on the horizon. It just so happened that with COVID and everything, the last couple of years, it's been kind of crazy. So we had to eliminate a lot of things that we had already on the books to do.
Okay.
So it's the Tony G. Gregg Foundation.
Okay. Great. Tony, man, I so appreciate having you here with us on this show. Man, I'm talking about just excited, man, really, truthfully. I still remember my first time meeting at the Toy and Fruit Drive. I still remember that. And to full circle come around to us doing this, man, I can't appreciate it enough.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I appreciate, you know, we have a mutual friend in common,
Mm-hmm.
T. Hux. And he called me and said what you wanted to do, told me what you wanted to do. And I was like, hey, you know what, man? I know what he's about. I know what the platform is about, so let's do it. And that's why I'm here.
Well, we appreciate it. This platform is our career exploration platform. We are trying to do our best opportunity. I think it's something that you will agree. Students, kids will do what they see adults doing confidently. So we want to be able to put in front of them as many adults as we can, thrive in a professional manner, doing things confidently. Not telling them that they have to be in radio or be in music. What we're telling them is, look at someone who has built a successful history professionally.
Right.
Take what they did to become successful, and whatever your passions, whatever your skills are in, use that for that.
One point I want to make real quick is basically what you're talking about is, and I'm going to go back to the whole thing. A lot of times, kids may see something and they be like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that. It's ain't cool, it's degrading. You know, my friends, peer pressure might laugh at me. They might laugh at me because I'm doing this particular job, and what they want to be or whatever. What they have to understand is society is making society, and it's going to sound crazy, society is making society what it wants to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is that if a kid wants to go work at a convenience store or a restaurant or a fast food restaurant or whatever, don't let that stop you. Because guess what? Like I said before, it's about getting your foot in the door. If you have aspirations, it's about getting your foot in the door. Because guess what? Let's go to Coming to America. What he says, next week I'll be on the Fridays. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that could lead to you being management. That could lead to you being something. You got to start somewhere. You got to get in there. Right now, CEOs, vice presidents, and presidents started somewhere. They started at the bottom and worked their way up. But the key thing is they got their foot in the door.
I don't know if you checked my notes out, but you answered the question that I was leading to,
Okay.
of just giving our youth a point of how to reach success. That's it. Get your foot in the door.
Get your foot
Don't
in the
give
door.
up. I got it. I love it.
And that, me getting my foot in the door and me being persistent with Mike Carter at KPRS, I 103 Jams, is what led me to have a successful, because I called him every single day. I called him on a Monday. He's like, no, nothing yet, Tony. Give me a call back in a few days. I called him Wednesday. I called him Friday. He's off on Saturday, Sunday. I wouldn't call Monday because I called Monday last week, so I'm going to call him Tuesday. I'm going to give him a rest on Wednesday. I'm going to call him Thursday. And I would imagine that at some point he said, this man really wants to be a part of what we're doing. Foot in the door, being persistent.
Sis, I love it. So I got 3 things.
Sure.
And then we're going to get out and we're going to close out. First, before I do that, I got to make sure everyone knows that we're here in the lovely Kinship Cafe on 719 North 6th Street, KCK. And then this episode is brought to you in part by Wilson's Pizza of 1801 Quindera Boulevard. So I got a little something different. I've never done this before.
Okay.
So this is something new. This is something for the time Grinch, our mutual friend, who you call T. Hutz. You know, in my research, I found out, and I want to ask him about this because you may know something about this too. I found out this quote, and I want him to tell me what this means. All right.
Okay.
There are blueberries and strawberries, but no libraries. No, there are blueberries and strawberries, no libraries. I mean, Mr. Tyler told you that. No, I'm just and I'm, you know why I'm bringing this up. I'm bringing this up because he went to summer. Yeah. But see, us at Wyandotte know that. We know that.
No libraries.
We know that. There is no libraries. We know that it's a library. We understand how to pronounce that word. I just want you to know it's that Wyandotte education. We understand the difference. That's that summer education. I had to have fun with my He's checking them We had to have fun with him. I thought this would be a good time to have fun with him, with our mutual friend, with you. Now, we end the episode every time with the question.
Sure.
Let me put it together. So, you're at the Super Bowl. All right, our Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, and they're playing. And while you're there, you're in the stands, they call your ticket. And what you've won is a 60-second commercial at halftime. Can't sell it. You have to fill it with something. And all you have is the time that you're walking down from your seat, and you had pretty good seats, you were just kind of right behind. Walking down from your seat to think of what you're gonna fill that commercial with. All right? So we want you to look into that camera, and then I want you to give me a 60-second commercial. What would you fill that 60-second commercial with? And we're gonna have you start now.
What I would do with, let me think, give me a few minutes. Not even a few minutes, but, what I would feel that's.
Do the commercial. Don't tell us. Actually do the commercial. You are voiceover and doing the commercial looking. We starting it right now, and here we go. That's the one step.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Tony G, and I know we're right here at halftime at the Super Bowl, but guess what? We need your help. We need your help for the Breakfast and Books Club. This is what we're asking you to do. Go log on. Go get involved, because we need you as a mentor. We need you as somebody that the kids can look up to, and we need your support. So not only am I going to be supporting them, but I need you to support them as well. Now back to the football game, back to the Chiefs winning.
Best commercial we done had. I got hands down. Hands down. We appreciate that.
No problem, no problem.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. All right. Now, you just seen that. We are live here on Jenna Club TV and YouTube. And now we're going to sign off. We appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe. And we